Well, update on the Kia engine. Axel has got it installed. Like, we came over earlier and kind of assisted in installing it. So he's got the engine installed, motor mount put in. He's starting to hook up all the coolant lines and stuff like that. Yeah, it's going smooth so far. This should be done sometime in the morning and we'll have this thing running. This customer here actually just sold this car to us flat out. Said, I'm done with it. I don't want to put no more money into it. If you guys give me a, they say if you guys give me a fair price on it, then I'll sell you guys the vehicle. Well, this cover in here had some damage from where the cam bearing rides. And this camshaft was bad. The phaser was bad on it. It's $1,200 for that one single camshaft right there. And the guy was like, I don't want to pay $1,200 for that. And then have to clean up this upper portion of this valve cover assembly. So you're talking more labor on top of that. You're talking another $700. This one here, you can see how bad the bearings are. They're just chewed up. And this one it's wiggling back and forth and popping on the locking pin. Sometimes it'll turn even more. And the guy was like, no, I'm done with it. He said, if you guys want to buy the car from me, you guys can buy it and invest the money yourself. So I said, what do you think? Fair market price on this in good used condition is probably somewhere around $3,500, $3,000. But because we got to put another $1,200 camshaft in it, we got to clean up the upper. This is a valve cover incorporated with the cam bearing upper assembly. That's going to cost us another couple hours labor to clean everything up inside there. We're losing oil pressure around the cam bearing. So basically what we do is we polish everything back up, put a new camshaft and stuff on it, and then we go to a higher grade or a thicker oil in it and see how it responds. And we've had success with people putting 50, 60,000 miles on these engines after doing that in the past. And the guy said he didn't want to put a new cylinder head and stuff on it to fix all that. So he was like, yeah, make me a deal. So I said, we'll give you $2,500 for the car. And he said, $2,500 I can't do. Can you do 3? And I said, nah, I can't do 3. Give me 20. I'll give you 26. And then I got to walk if you decline, because I'm going to have to put another $1,200 camshaft in it, another 4 or 5 hours labor in it. I'm going to have to put fresh oil and stuff in it. While I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and strip down the front cover. It's going to get a timing chain, timing tensioner. It's going to get all the stuff while I'm in there. So I'm going to refresh everything that I can to make sure the next person that gets this engine, they're not going to have these problems. And he said, you know what? I'll give you 26. I'll take 26. So we bought this for 26. Turned around and dumped another like $2,000 in it. Refreshed everything. The timing chain, everything's brand new. Timing chain, tensioners, secondary tensioner, brand new camshaft, cleaned up the cam bearing and stuff with some 2000 grit, kind of smoothed it out. We're going to bump it up to, I don't know what we're going to use, 530, 540 in this. Run it. Should be real good. Inside of the engine, super clean. So that's not going to be an issue. And it'll be a good vehicle. It'll be a real good vehicle. Let me tell y'all right now, this engine is super quiet now. We finally got everything done this afternoon. I was kind of filming this throughout the day. Super quiet. But again, we had to invest the extra money in it to get it right. So now we own the car and it's going to be for sale to the public here. And it runs absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to try to bring it home tomorrow or the next day so I can show you all how clean it runs. So if somebody's in the market for a 13 Audi 2-liter turbo with all new timing chain, camshaft, everything resealed, all new gaskets, tensioners, let me know. Super clean inside. The engine's super clean. Get a hold of me and then we will go from there. But that's the update on that. We actually ran it tonight, took it out, test drove it, beat on it. It runs very well. This here is the 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee 5.7 liter Hemi. It came in as a no start, no crank, no power, no nothing. We put a jump pack on it and the terminal started smoking over here in the corner on these Jeeps. And they're known for blowing the fuse pack underneath the jump point here. That wasn't the case with this one. It started smoking right away, so I knew there was a short somewhere. And basically I tracked it down to the alternator. The alternator was shorted out internally, took out the driver and the computer. It's a common problem with the 2011, 2012 model Jeep Grand Cherokee. So I had my guy put a new alternator in it, ordered a PCM for it, programmed everything, installed that. That took care of the charging problem. Even if you put a new alternator in it, basically you go take your DVOM, your voltage meter, and you check for power while it's running at the battery. You're only going to get 12 volts. The Chrysler alternators need to be told to turn on. You can't force them into fulfilling themselves without adding some kind of external like information source to make them think that they need to do something. So that computer actually needs to control the Chrysler voltage regulator in order to tell it that it needs to charge at a higher voltage. So once we got that done, the customer said, I also want you to listen for, there's a tick coming from the engine. It just started not too long ago. We bought it with 92,000, 93,000 miles on it. And it's got 95 now. It's had 2 oil changes. Can you check it out? It was the Hemi tick. Had pull cylinder heads off, and sure enough, one of the lifters had turned inside the bore. It's got that active fuel management crap where they go from 8 to 4. One of the lifters had turned inside the bore, and it was causing it to tick. And one of them was barely making any contact with the camshaft. And whoever was in there before, if anybody was in there before, one of the lifter bridges that actually get bolted down to the head, they never screwed the screw down into the head all the way. They never torqued it down properly, and it was actually sitting out like 1 or 2 threads. It was loose. So we put new lifters in it. We redid all the gaskets and stuff. We did multiple oil changes after we were done. Runs absolutely great. No more Hemi tick, no nothing like that at all. Yeah, so today was a pretty good day. It was a successful day. And let me show you this BMW computer I just found. This over here is another... This is a 2009 Audi. The customer never did the maintenance on it, the preventative maintenance, and I think that certain interval you're supposed to do like timing chain, tension, or all that stuff. He never did and kept driving it. He smoked the engine in it. Chain broke, kissed the valves, yada yada yada. Didn't want to put the $5,000 into an engine, and I was like, well, if I've got to put an engine, my time, and everything else, I got to pull my guys off one of these. That's a 2009, in perfect shape. That car might be worth $6 grand, $7 grand. I'll give you $1,000 for a car because I'm gonna have to put another $2,500 to $3,500 in an engine, and then I'm gonna have to pay a guy to sit here, swap out the engine and stuff, and then I'm still barely gonna make money on it. So I got to give you $1,000 for it. He said, just take it off my hands. Here's $1,000. Here's the title. I called Eric up from I Do Cars. He hooked me up with a really good engine that already has the new pistons. I think it's like new oil pump, new timing chain. Everything's been done like within the last 40,000 miles. Because Audi had a recall on the oil consumption issue, and he got me an engine that already had all the updates done. So I have that sitting inside waiting to go in this car. That'll probably go for like $7 grand ish with all the updates and stuff done. This here's a 2007 BMW 530xi, and randomly it just would not start. It would crank, it would not start. Took it to multiple different shops. Nobody knew what was wrong with this thing. Nobody could figure it out. You can see the tags on it, 06 to 22. It's been off the road now for quite a while, and this customer said, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm not going to keep putting money into it. I had my guys out here looking at it for a long time. I had my best guy out here looking at it, and it took him probably 3 or 4 hours, and he was like, look, I'm going to give up on it for now because I can't communicate with the computer. And I said, wait a second, think about what you just said. You're good, but I've been in the field a little longer, that's why I specialize in this stuff. Think about what you just said. You cannot communicate with the computer. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for a bad connection, fuse, relay, some kind of ground issue, something somewhere, right? Or a communication issue? Did you check all your connections at the computers and stuff? Where are you not communicating? Well, I can't communicate with the engine computer. So here I come up here to the engine computer, buried underneath all this stuff, down in that hole. Look at the angle of the windshield. The angle of the windshield comes right down towards that computer. Look at all this plastic with open holes and stuff right here that sits underneath it. Where's the water going? Through the open holes. Even if there's covers on it, it's going to get in those cracks, down inside, on top of that computer. So I come out here a few hours later after they screwed around with it. A couple different technicians looked at it. I came out here to the DME relay. I said, boys, why do you think we ain't got power to the DME relay? Oh, I don't know. Well, we ain't got no ground. It wasn't supplying ground. It's not supplying ground because the computer doesn't know that it's supposed to supply ground or something's wrong with the ground wire. On top of that, it's not getting a trigger signal. So customer says, look, I told the customer, I said, I'm pretty sure you got a bad DME. At the time, you couldn't see all the corrosion and stuff in the pins and stuff here. You couldn't see all this crap. It wasn't, the vehicle came in, and after it sat for a few days with no moisture in the air and it getting real hot here in Illinois and everybody's grass starting to die and stuff, all of a sudden this greenish tint started coming to, and it started festering and started to show itself. Well, I come out here yesterday, I yanked the computer out of this thing. The customer actually sold this vehicle to another customer of ours for $1,000. He said he was done with it. He didn't want to touch it anymore. This actually is a really good 3-liter engine in this thing. They're known for the reliability in this year. The transfer cases are really good if they've been maintained. It looks really clean inside this engine. There's no leaks or anything crazy underneath. It's got newer tires and stuff on it. And as I'm cleaning this thing, I still couldn't really find anything directly wrong with it, but I said I know something's wrong with this DME. It's not supplying something that it needs, and I'm not very, very familiar with BMW, so I go in, I put the computer down in an alcohol bath, I let it sit for hours in an alcohol bath. It did take some of the corrosion that was inside the cover and dissolved some of it. Then I took the computer and I put it in an ultrasonic cleaner with some ultrasonic solution. I started seeing all kinds of rust and stuff come out of a certain pin. And I get to this connector right here. This is a smaller connector to the DME. And I'm looking, and this whole cavity right here that's open, this one right here by my thumb, this one that doesn't have, this one right here, was completely full of rust. And I look down inside this wire, and the pin that's supposed to be in the computer is in this pin. This pin is the main trigger for pin 30 at the relay. This pin does not signal. If it doesn't have what it needs from this pin, or the pin is broke off inside the computer, this vehicle will never fire. This was the problem. The guy sold the vehicle for $1,000 because he was scared how much labor he was going to have to put into it. It's this broken pin right here. And now what I'm going to do is, another customer bought it for $1,000. He came to me and he said, figure out what's going on with the computer. I don't care what it costs, just figure it out. It's okay, I got you. He's an old man. He's been doing business with us for years. He wanted something that didn't cost him a lot. And I said, look here, this is a decent vehicle. It's going to cost some money to figure it out. It's going to be good in the wintertime and stuff like that. We don't know the whole history on it. If you want to take a chance, it's $1,000. You might lose $1,000. You might be up. You might be up for a few years and be. He said, for $1,000, how could you complain with a car like this? The leather's not ripped inside. Everything works inside. He said, just put the money into it. I'm going to go purchase the car from the guy. So he went and bought it. He got back a hold of us, brought the title out to me, and he said, begin your work. Do your thing, boss man. So that's how I found the broken pin. I found the bad computer and stuff. And I called Cody up from Cody's Auto Diagnostics. And he does a lot of computer work. And I told Cody what I had, and he said, all right, let's do it. Let's get a good computer. Let's get your old computer, get it out to me. I'll get everything set up for you guys, and I'll get it sent back to you. So I'm going to send it out to Cody. Cody's going to get everything on board with me with that computer. I'm going to drop it in. It'll be plug and play. Should be ready to hit the road. The guy bought a car for $1,000, and he won't have but, $500 or another $500 to $1,000 in labor and parts into it, depending on how much the computer and the service costs from Cody. I'm going to let Cody set his own price. And he just bought this car. So, yeah, it's an interesting life going from the dealer and not being able to see the operations to going to an independent shop and being able to be more involved with the customer, figure out what's going on more, have more options, have more say-so. And instead of these cars going to the crusher or the junkyard and getting $300-400 for them, they save them, put the money back into them, put them out for sale. And you know who you're dealing with because you're coming to the person that you watch every single day that you do business with. It's a no-brainer. Y'all be blessed. Take care. Hope you have a great day. Great evening. Why did it get so fuzzy? Take care, guys.